my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Land Stories Live. I am your host, Dave Deniston of Generation Family Properties, LLC, where our goal is to help hundreds of people just like you own land. Most of all, we would love to tell your land story. Well, today I have a special guest with me. She loves the outdoors. She loves to hike, particularly in Oregon. And I'm so glad to have her on because two of our favorite counties in Oregon, Klamath County and Deschutes County, I know she has some experience in. Now, not only does she like to hike, she is a blog writer extraordinaire of hikeoregon.net. Not only does she have a blog, she has a great YouTube channel, lots of great resources there where we can follow her adventures. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes. She also has a really cool background story that we'll dive into a little bit. She is originally from Germany, but she's been in Oregon for most of her life. So over the past 6 years, she's really gotten into hiking and discovering Oregon and just how amazing and diverse it is. And I know she's going to talk about some trail discoveries here with us and everyone else. Please help me welcome Franziska Weinheimer. Welcome, Franziska.
Oh, hello.
You there? Oh,
you froze for a second. Right.
Man, we're just freezing back and forth. So I will try and talk a little bit. Looks like you're frozen a little bit. I'm not sure it's your internet and my internet, but we're gonna keep marching through anyhow, and we'll go. And I might have you re-speak on something if I'm not hearing it.
Sounds good.
We are live, everybody. This is not some pre-recorded thing. All right, so Franziska, so I mentioned a little bit that you're from Germany. So tell me about that.
Yes.
That's what part of Germany, and when did you move to the States?
I was born in East Germany actually, and lived there till I was 3, and then we moved to the Czech Republic. Actually, we moved to Prague and lived there for about 2.5 years, and then I moved to Oregon when I was 6. Wow. And so I've been here pretty much ever since. My dad did move back to Germany, so I have lived there occasionally here and there throughout the years, but mainly have been here in Oregon where my mom stayed and remarried. And yeah, so I would consider Oregon my home.
Do you remember much of living in Europe as a little kiddo?
I would say I remember more of Prague than I do of living in Germany when I was little. But yeah, I mean, it's such a great place to live for sure. And visiting is always so much fun. And most of my family still lives there, like I said, except my mom. So I do get to visit and have family there.
You have a place to stay. You just need a plane flight to get on over.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to get over there. I was supposed to visit in June, but that didn't happen. So now I'm supposed to go in December. It looks like that's probably not going to happen either. So I keep pushing the trip.
man. Do you speak German then?
I do.
Mm-hmm. You do. Nice. Say something to me in German, just for fun.
Hallo, wie geht's? Ich bin aus Oregon und wir machen heute einen schönen Podcast.
I love it. That's awesome. So cool. So tell me, like with hiking, because this is a big passion of yours. Were you hiking like with your parents growing up, or how did hiking become a thing for you?
Yeah, I actually just was writing my little about the author blurb for my book. So I started hiking with my family when we moved over here when I was 6. I actually summited my first big mountain when I was 6 years old. Wow. And that's kind of where my love for the mountains began. And then every summer, my dad is a professor, so he would have summers off. And so he would every summer plan like a big excursion, backpacking excursion somewhere. We've backpacked in the Alps. In Greece, we've backpacked through Alaska. So every year he would plan this like awesome big trip. So, all throughout my childhood, that's kind of what we did. And then in college, I kind of, I was busy working full time, going to school full time. So I kind of fell out of the whole hiking and going outdoors and stuff. And after college, I kind of got into it again and really realized that Oregon is so big and has so much to offer. I was not really even familiar with a large portion of the state. So I really wanted to kind of explore more. And so I started going out and went off of this very, very old guidebook that I had. And I found that a lot of the information was outdated, but wasn't readily available anywhere else. So that's kind of what made me start Hike Oregon, was to provide updated information online for other people to enjoy the outdoors. Because I found that if I didn't have the information myself, that I would be more apprehensive of going somewhere because I didn't know what to expect. You don't know if the trail is going to be sketchy or what the trailhead looks like and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Like, is the road to the trailhead safe
Mm.
for my car? At the time I had like a Volvo station wagon with like no ground clearance. And so a lot of the roads I couldn't go on, but didn't know. So I would get to points where I'm like, okay, do I push on? Is that safe? Or do I turn around and not go on the hike? So that kind of information, like providing that for other people so that they can get outside, was my main priority, I guess. So,
Well, it's I think starting a business like that is such a labor of love, right? And it's like you
yes.
start these things not for any sort of money incentive at all. It's just
Hmm.
I've had a number of different ventures like this. I have another podcast called The Freedom Formula for Physicians. That's like freedom for doctors,
Hmm.
and that was just total like, give back to the community kind of a
Right.
thing. And if I made money from it, great. If not, oh well. And it sounds like you kind of
Hmm.
felt similar about this. Hey, I just want to help people, and
Yeah.
something comes out of it, great. So
Totally. Yeah, 'cause I knew I wasn't the only one struggling to find information. So I thought, there has to be other people who would find value in this. So that's kind of how the website was born.
and this was how long ago? Like how long did you start this?
I launched the website in 2014 in August. So
6 years. That's a long
6 years ago.
time.
Yeah.
6
Yep.
years. And
Yep.
in that time, like just I'm curious to know your favorite three places. Like if someone was hiking, they want to go your top three, what would they be?
I mean, I think if it's someone who is traveling to Oregon, my suggestions are different than someone who lives here.
Mm,
But if you're traveling to Oregon, you have not been here, I would always recommend Smith Rock State Park. It's just magical. And also like the Crater Lake area obviously is great. And the beauty about Crater Lake is once you're in the park, there's like a dozen hikes you can do. And most of them are relatively short too, but all of them are very different, which is really neat. So you can pack in like 5 to 6 little hikes throughout a day and really just get all the sights in. And then I would probably recommend the coast too, just because
mm,
it has so much to offer. There's the rainforest type hikes, the really like lush, green, mossy hikes, and then a lot of them are coupled with amazing views of the ocean. So like you're walking through these amazing old growth lush forests, and then you get up to like a knoll and you see the ocean. It's just magical. So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
those are like my top areas that I would recommend.
The coast is gorgeous going down Pacific Coast Highway.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so cool. Very, very different. Like you said, just, I mean, you can hike in the desert too, right? I mean, you got the middle of Oregon
right,
and Eastern Oregon, more
right.
deserty. Um, Now I know that this year you and I were talking before the podcast that you made a huge transition out of your full-time job to doing this full-time
Mhm.
right before COVID hit. So with happening during these COVID times, I
Mhm.
would love to hear a little bit about kind of the before and after. You know, you were probably excited, ready to go and do this, and then COVID hits. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So as I mentioned, I had the plan to quit my job in mid-March, which is right at that time when we started hearing about shutdowns and staying at home. And here in Oregon, we had a pretty strict stay-at-home order for about 3 months. Travel ban, like you couldn't really go outside your town. And so it was really rough because I could not even really, as an Oregon business, talk about hiking because I had to adhere to the governor's orders of stay at home. And so I couldn't even, like, I didn't even know what to like post on social media because I can't promote hiking, which is what I do, right?
Wow.
So
Uh-oh.
progressed, I would say more and more people started going outside. The stay at home order lifted, so we could travel a little bit more around the state, or at least, an hour from your house and go for hikes. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of help people explore more in their local areas, whereas a lot of people want to travel and go 2 hours, to the mountains or the coast. But I, then would get a lot of questions. Hey, I have to stay at home. What is there very, very close to me? So, um, yeah, that kind of gave me an opportunity to explore a little more around my area, see what's actually like really close. um, we have a lot of like old logging roads and stuff here. So I would oftentimes just suggest that. And
Nice.
oftentimes the logging roads are really beautiful. Like you're just walking through these beautiful forests, and sometimes you have these like little waterfalls trickling down the
Mm,
side. And oftentimes those were the most beautiful hikes we went on in the spring. So
that's so cool. Well, it's been a crazy year. I know we went out to Colorado to Estes Park
mhm.
area, the Rocky Mountain National Forest, and so my whole family, my wife and two girls, and we found out you had to make reservations, right, to
Oh
like
gosh, yeah.
snag a spot, and so you could only make reservations like 3 days ahead of time. So you couldn't do it
Oh,
like a
wow.
week
So you
ahead of
couldn't plan
time.
anything, really?
You couldn't plan anything. Well, then I get on at like 6 a.m. in the morning 3 days ahead of time, and everything's gone.
Oh,
So
wow.
you couldn't make any reservations to like park your car,
Right.
anywhere. And then normally they'd
Oh
have
my gosh.
shuttles and stuff. So what we ended up doing is we found there was a YMCA camp where you could
Mhm.
park and then kind of make your way through the back door to the Rocky Mountain National Forest, which are all kinds of cool
Wow.
things. So even in these times, these these crazy things happen, but we can get
Yeah.
around them. There's
Yeah.
workarounds to do it.
Totally.
Do you
Yeah.
have any spots that like that happened for you? Where like you had to make reservations and you had to get around them, kind of a thing.
Um, I mean, there were a few hikes like Multnomah Falls and stuff where you still have to do the reservation route. I just kind of tried to avoid the busiest places. Although I did find that this year I went down to the Sierra in California, and we found actually that because of COVID, not as many people were going backpacking. So we actually snagged permits for very, very popular areas that we probably in normal years wouldn't have been able to get. for the time that we wanted, like prime hiking, like August, you know. So we actually got lucky with that, and I think it was due to COVID and that not as many people were traveling. So
Nice, 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 nice.
yeah.
Now, I know you document a lot of this stuff. It goes on YouTube, and I saw you. You're carrying like cameras and equipment going hiking. So I got to know: have you ever like broke anything? Have you lost anything? Has anything like that happened while you're hiking?
uh I didn't break my camera, but it definitely like pretty much ruined my filming camera on the first day of a like 5-day loop hike. I had it sitting on a tripod on a rock, and I was going to film us walking down the trail. And luckily, it did get us walking down the trail, but as we continued, the camera got blown over by wind, and it fell probably 3 feet lens first into like sandy, rocky dirt. And then I came back to pick up the camera and I saw what happened. And I was like, oh no, like all this dirt and sand got into the lens. It wouldn't even open and close for a
Mm.
while because there was just so much crud in it. And I was like, oh great, now I can't film the rest of my hike. So that was really unfortunate. I did end up getting it fixed and cleaned and stuff, but yeah, that was unfortunate. But that was the only time that something like that has ever happened. So I consider myself lucky.
Nice. Well, I would love to hear about just some of your adventures. Tell us about a time maybe you got lost, or um, your favorite trip of all time, or tell us a story.
I have gotten lost once, and I swear it will not happen again because you learn from experiences like that for sure. That happened early on into me um, regaining my love for hiking. So we, again, I was going off of this old guidebook. So I consider it the guidebook's fault. um, so the guidebook said this hike was supposed to be a loop. And so we did most, I would say, over half of the loop already. And then we get on the connector trail, and it's not really a trail anymore. It's completely obsolete. And the further down this trail we go, the further we realize, okay, this is not a trail anymore. I don't know why at that point we decided to continue. We should have just turned around and gone
Mm,
back the way we came. But because we had already completed most of the loop, we're like, okay, we don't want to do a 17-mile out and back. We want to finish this 12-mile loop. And so I don't know, it was so stupid. But we continued on this non-trail, and it was pretty open forest at that point. Just a lot of like old dead snags. So we were just kind of crossing a lot of logs, but we could see everything around us, which was very helpful. And we knew kind of what direction we had to go. So we just continued on until we came to a cliff. And then we're like, well, shoot, we have to go down this cliff.
mm.
So luckily we found a game trail, an animal trail. So we kind of followed that and went down. However, the landscape at the bottom was just massive bushes, like these bushes that were taller than me. So we couldn't see anything at this
Mm.
point. No landscape, no markers, didn't really know where we were going, and just had to like push through these massive bushes. And that was very difficult, trying to walk through this and navigate. And then we realized that dying, and the charger had fallen out of my backpack. So both of our phones were dying, so we couldn't really follow the GPS.
Oh no.
And it was like getting dark. I think it was October at that point, so like shorter days. And I don't know how we made it out of there, but like I would say 10 minutes before actual like pitch blackness, we found the car. Like all of a sudden, we like popped out of these bushes and we're like, oh my God, there's that tree that we parked our car next to. And all of a sudden, there was the car, and we were just so thankful because very easily we could have gotten turned around, had
Oh,
no phone service,
oh
no
man.
way to check our GPS, and we totally could have spent the night out there, which would have really been unfortunate. So that was the one and only time that I really got lost. And
Was there any like, we should have gone this way or that way? Like, was there any like bickering between the two of you kind of a thing? Or were you?
no, I ended up getting kind of scared just because it was so close to being dark and nighttime. Um, but yeah, no bickering, just kind of like, okay, we got to get out of here. Like there's
Yeah.
no other, we can't just sit here and cry, right? We have to keep moving. So yeah, it was interesting.
Well, what happened this last July? So again, Estes Park is where we're at. So it was my wife's birthday, and so she wanted to go for a hike and go out and do stuff. And so we found a state park where we could do hiking. And so I'm kind of more a look at the map kind of a person. She just kind of goes.
Hmm.
And so we get to the trailhead and I see the map. It's like, oh, okay, this looks like a nice loop. It shouldn't take us too long.
Hmm.
And so we get on the trail and we go and we're having a good time and we end up getting to a Y. And I didn't see, there were no signs at the Y. And
Oh no.
so it was, do we go to the right or go to the left? And it seemed like it was pretty short at that time. And
Uh-huh.
so I was like, well, I think we should go to the left. So we go to the left and we go and we go and we go and we're enjoying the view. And it's like, well, gosh, we should be turning around to go back because this was supposed to be, a nice loop, but not a
Oh
huge loop.
yeah.
And, there's still a trail. It wasn't like it was unmarked
Yeah.
like
You
yours
just took
was.
the wrong one.
We just took the wrong one. And so my wife's getting more and more angry. It was like, oh, I
Oh
didn't want to be
no.
out here this long for my birthday. And she's getting upset and we go farther and farther. And I'm like, it's your call. It's your birthday. You turn around when you want.
Right.
So we go back around and then we get back to the same Y. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, well, we can go back the way we came in or we can keep going. And
Right.
I made it her call, right? It's her birthday. You tell me what to do. And she said, fine, we'll keep going. And so we keep going. And there were actually signs there. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, we're on the right path. I know we are. But she didn't believe me. She started thinking, oh, you led us down the wrong way again. And so we didn't we didn't bicker, but she was not happy with me
Yeah.
on her birthday. So I did not win husband points for that. But we got back. I was right the
That's good.
second time.
Yeah.
We did get there. So I would love to know. You have so many great resources on your website that
Hmm.
that has like best Oregon hikes. One's in the fall for kids, for low elevation swimming spots, and in different areas, Bend, Lapine, Eugene, whatever. Um, what's kind of your most popular ones, or where do you think people should start, like on your site to check out stuff?
Well, my most popular looked at hike on the website, I would say, is the Broken Top No Name Lake hike. That is by far my most viewed hike. And
Let's see. So I'm on the website. I'm sharing my screen for those of us that are watching this on YouTube or whatever. Where is that?
yeah, that one is definitely
Broken Top? Where?
under the bend.
Under the bend. Ah, very good. Broken Top to No Name Lake. Is that the one?
Yep.
Nice.
Correct.
Look at that. Beautiful. Which this is in
Yep.
Deschutes County. That we've definitely had land listings here. Beautiful lake. And it's clear blue, huh?
Oh yeah. Towards the end of the season, it gets a little more brown, just because of the sediment. Um,
You start out among the trees, it looks like here, and some good trail signs. Looks like it was probably an old volcano or something, huh? That
yeah, it's really, really cool. So there's a
nice.
shorter and a longer version of this hike. And as of next year, it's actually going to be permitted just because it is so popular. So it will require a limited entry permit that you have to purchase just because it's so close to Bend and it's so accessible that it's kind of getting damaged by
Mhm.
all the people.
Pros and cons, right? You know, you get to
Yep.
get to get to enjoy the outdoors. What about
But it will,
on
the permits will make it actually nicer because you won't have to share this view with like 200 other people. It will be more like 25 other people. So I think it'll make it a little bit better.
for those of us that may be listening on audio format versus watching it, there's some really nice maps she has here showing you exactly where to go. Looks like handwritten stuff. She has lots and lots of pictures and descriptions and just really nicely laid out. This is great. Well, let's see what else. Um, I would love to tell us about your book. So you have all this stuff online. You got YouTube, you
Mhm.
got the blog, you got the book coming out. What's the book about?
Yeah, so actually in 2018, in November, I published my first book. And that one is 52 hikes for 52 weeks. So it's laid out by season. So every week of the year, there is a specific hike that is perfect for that week of the year. So basically, you have one hike for each week, and you can basically hike every single weekend if you wanted to, and use that book kind of as a guide. So that was the first book I wrote. And then I wrote that one just because I found there was a need for that. I find that a lot of people struggle to find places to go hiking in the winter and the spring. Summer and fall here is just glorious, and like every hike is accessible. But winter and spring is definitely much harder. So having a guide like that is really helpful. And then after I finished that project, I wanted to move on to a passion project. Viewpoint hikes are my favorite, have always been my favorite. And so I'm writing a book all about viewpoint hikes throughout the entire state of Oregon. So I did lots of traveling over the last 2 years to kind of do hike research. And yeah, now I finished hike research in September, and now I am in the process of actually doing the writing, which is not my favorite part, but has to be done.
That's it. Unless it's a picture book, right? You know, it could be all pictures.
Right. Yeah, then you don't have to write.
Well, let's see.
So,
Any other thoughts or resources or places to go that you'd love to highlight today?
um, oh, I guess I didn't mention when the book is coming out.
Yes.
It's coming out in March. And so pre-sale will start in February, but the book will be out in March, available on the website and stuff. I tried to make it available at local bookstores here as well, just because not everyone wants to or needs to order online. If they, live in Oregon, they can hopefully get it at a bookstore. I tried to have it at like the smaller local small business type of bookstores instead of like Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. So what else? um I don't know.
Well, any I gotta know, because of course here at Generation Family Properties, we buy and sell land. So I would love to know
Yeah.
from you, if you could buy land, where would you buy it and why?
Oh, definitely Central Oregon. I have always wanted to live there. We actually looked at buying land in Central Oregon, but um, so expensive. And then if you want to put a house on it, it's like totally out of our price range. But yeah, definitely Central Oregon. I am in love with Central Oregon. Lots of really cool areas near Lapine. I think Lapine would be probably my choice just because it's close to Bend, but you don't have to deal with like the Bend prices
Yes.
and you get more land for your money. And
Yes.
it's also really close to some of the beautiful places like Paulina and the Cascade Lakes Highway. Like actually Lapine is closer to the Cascade Lakes Highway than Bend. So you can just kind of sneak over there and do all your favorite hikes. And also Paulina is great for winter recreation. So if you ride snowmobiles or cross country ski or snowshoe, that's a great place to explore as well. So
I
that's
love it.
where I would love to have my 10 acres.
I agree with you actually. Lapine, the nice thing is there's a lot of subdivided land there.
Hmm.
So, if you can deal with a half acre to 1 acre size, there's
Right.
lots of land that's
Yes.
subdivided, which of
Yep.
course makes it cheaper for you rather than buying a 10
Hmm.
acre, buying a half to one is great.
Right.
So we I think we've bought and sold 3 or 4 lots there. So I like
Yeah.
Lapine a lot for the same reason you said, because Bend, I think for the same size and similar looking place, it was
Oh, it would be triple or
triple or
quadruple the
quadruple.
price. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And of course, Klamath County, where we bought and sold land quite a bit, down
Hmm.
further south, has even more affordability and
Yes.
lots of land down there. I'm curious, what's your take on Klamath, being a native? It's Crater Lake is right there, obviously. So the further north you are, closer to Lapine, it's
Yep.
generally nicer. What do you think about Klamath? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I have actually not been down there quite as much as I would like to. I hope to go down in the spring at some point and do a lot more hiking in that area, but it's too far from where I live to do kind of day hikes in that area, so I would need to actually travel and spend some time down there. But I did hike Mount McLaughlin earlier this summer, and that was just beautiful down there. And there's a lot of like um, cattle country there, and then it's very flat, but then you have the hills in the distance, which is just gorgeous. And like you said, Crater Lake is really close. And yeah, and I've heard there's a lot of really cool birds that come
Mhm.
and hang out at the lakes there, which is super cool for people that love bird watching. And so that's why I hope to go in the spring, kind of when the birds are migrating and stuff, to kind of see that as well.
Snow melt, all
Yes,
that too.
yes.
Hopefully get past that. Okay, great. And as we wrap up, any final thoughts, Franziska, that you'd like to share with us?
Um, I guess I always want to, just because I do promote going into the outdoors so much, I always like to remind people about leave no trace, and just find that so important because, like I mentioned, with the limited entry permits, that is happening because people are not adhering to leave no trace. And the more people discover the great outdoors, the more we're going to have these limited entry areas, which is unfortunate for people that, you know, like to enjoy these areas on a daily basis. Um, like for Bend locals, they're going to have to pay every time they go to one of these very nearby hikes. So I just like to remind people to, pack out your trash, pack out your toilet paper. Um, don't pick wildflowers. Just take a picture of them and enjoy them. Don't pick them. Stay on the trails. That's super important, especially in like high alpine areas where crossing a meadow will leave tracks for a very long time just because the vegetation just doesn't grow that fast up there. So yeah, just leave no trace.
I love it. That's great. And if people want to follow you and check stuff out, where should they go?
Yeah, so I'm hike.oregon on Instagram. That's where I post all of my pictures from recent adventures. And then Hike Oregon on YouTube is where I do lots of gear reviews. I film certain hikes that I go on, and I also give tips and tricks on day hikes, backpacking, and stuff like that. And then, of course, the website hikeoregon.net. You'll find all the awesome hike write-ups as well as where you can purchase the books.
I love it. There you go, everybody. Well, definitely check her out on social media. Again, the YouTube channel is great. The website is great. So there's lots and lots of good resources out there if you want to hike in Oregon. Well, that wraps up the episode for today. Tune in every Monday around 11:30 a.m. or sometimes around noon Central Time. If you have a question about land, please send it to me, contact@genfamproperties.com, or you can submit them right through Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning into Land Stories with me, Dave Deniston, and our special guest today. Make sure to check out all of our properties at www.genfamproperties.com. And if you are looking for land, definitely feel free to call me. Info is right on the website. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.